we were taught values and admonished to always choose harder right instead of easier wrong. Setting legal issues aside, the Supreme Court exhibited a disturbing aversion to public opinion, just as they abandoned its responsibility as court of law and policy. It is therefore with great dismay that I observe that the court's decision contradicts the overwhelming evidence of election rigging, false claim of technical glitch, substantial non-compliance to the rules set by INEC itself, as well as matters of perjury, identity theft, and forgery that has been brought to light in course of this election matter. These are hefty allegations that should not have been treated with levity. More appellant, the Supreme Court's judgment willfully condoned breaches of the Constitution relative to established qualifications and parameters for candidates in presidential elections. With this counterintuitive judgment, the Supreme Court has transferred a heavy moral burden from the courtroom to our national conscience. Our young democracy is ultimately the main victim and casualty of the courtroom drama. Without equivocation, this judgment amounts to a breach of confidence of Nigerians have in our judiciary. To that extent, it is a show of unreasonable force against the very Nigerian people from whom the power of the Constitution drives. The Supreme Court's ruling may represent the state of the law in 2023, but not present demand for substantive justice. The judgment missed principles and precedents. Indeed, the rationale and premise of the Supreme Court judgment have been clearly brought to light by deep, revealing, and troubling valedictory remarks of Honorable Justice Musa Datti Mohammed, JSC, on Friday, 27th, 2023. In disagreeing very strongly with the ruling of both the Presidential Petition Court and the Supreme Court on the outcome of the 25th February presidential election as declared by the Independent Electoral Commission, as Democrats who believe in the rule of law, we recognize that the Supreme Court is the end stage of our quest for legal closure on this matter. As a party and candidate, Datti and I have now exhausted all legal and constitutional remedies available to us. However, this end is only another beginning of our quest for vindication of hope of the common man for a better Nigeria. After all, sovereignty belongs to the people, if only for historical purposes. It behoves us to place our disagreement with and deep reservation about this judgment on public record. We have long been aware of how weak the national institutions have negatively affected our democracy. This year, 2023, has been quite remarkable and revealing. INEC displayed incompetence in the conduct of its statutory duties. The judiciary has largely acted in defiance of the constitutional tenets, precedents, and establish ground rules. Political expediency has preceded judicial responsibility. A mechanical application of technicalities has superseded pursuit of justice and fairness. Both INEC and Supreme Court, as referees respectively, shifted the goalposts in the middle of the game. Where the value and import of INEC and recent Supreme Court ruling ends is where our commitment to a new Nigeria begins. Our mission has been more about anchoring a new Nigeria, and it remains unchanged. It is a nation where things will work, where the country will be led from its present waste and consumption orientation to a production-driven economy. Our commitment is to a nation anchored on principles of prudent management of resources, to quickly pull millions out of multidimensional poverty, ensuring transparency and accountability in equitable distribution of opportunities, resources, privileges. In the new Nigeria, we aim to address all unmet needs by showing compassion for all those left behind by the present system. Going forward, we in Labour Party and the Obedient Movement are now effectively in opposition. We are glad that the nation has heard us loud and clear. We shall now expand the confines of our message of hope to the rest of the country. We will meet the people in their places where they feel pain and answer the needs for hope. At marketplaces, motor parks, town halls, boardrooms, university, and college campuses, we will carry and deliver the message of a new Nigeria. As stakeholders and elected Labour Party officials, we will remain loyal to our manifesto. We will continue to canvass good governance and focus on issues that promote national interest and unity and cohesion. We will continue to give primacy to our Constitution, rule of law, and the protection of other liberties. We will offer checks and balances and will vie robustly in forthcoming elections to elect those who share our vision of a new Nigeria. Given the present national circumstance, there is compelling need for a strong political opposition. We shall therefore remain in opposition, especially because of the policies and governance modalities that we in Labour Party campaign for, especially the issue of reducing cost of governance, moving the country from waste and consumption to production, reducing inflation, ending insecurity, promoting the rule of law, guaranteeing the responsibility to protect and stabilize our national currency, are clearly not the priorities of the present administration, nor is it interested in achieving sustainable development goals. It has one thing that has gladdened my heart in course of the struggle in the past 18 months. It is the passionate desire of our people, especially young Nigerians from across ethnic and religious divides, to construct a new and restructured Nigeria that will work for all Nigerians. The goal remains the guiding light and abiding inspiration. Finally, I thank all Nigerians who believed in what is now only a revolution postponed. We deeply appreciate the unalloyed, non-partisan moral support millions of youths and ordinary Nigerians across ethnic, religious, geopolitical divides have continued to give Dati and I. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Nigerians who have supported this mission from the onset. We salute the leadership and members of Labour Party, the Obedient Movement, the Obedient Presidential Campaign, Nigerians in diaspora, support groups, and all people of goodwill who worked diligently and hoped for realization of the beginning of new Nigeria in this election cycle. Nigerians who supported our cause have done so out of patriotism and their sincere conviction that our nation requires and deserves dedicated and visionary leadership who will lead Nigeria toward a brighter future. The energy and dedication of Nigerian youth and obedient movement have been simply amazing. I appreciate and salute them. I want to assure them that this is not the end of our journey, but in fact, the beginning. Nigerians heard you. The world have taken note and will not forget easily. We shall endure, persist, until we reach our destination, because the new Nigeria is our destination. A destination is not an event. We thank in a special way our legal team. We also thank elder statesmen whose wise counsel were immeasurable. To them, we wish to state unequivocally that this judicial outcome, an obvious misinterpretation of substantial justice, has by no means foreclosed realization of a new Nigeria that is possible. On personal note, I take pride and express gratitude to those who share our vision, who have exhibited rare courage to challenge the nefarious system, the genuineness of individuals, identities, and their defining and qualifying particulars up to the highest extent allowed by law. Nigeria holds out hope of infinite possibilities leading to a desirable greatness. I remain consistent in my belief of a possibility of a new Nigeria built on character, competence, capacity, compassion, integrity, respect for the rule of law based on justice and fairness. God bless you all. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Please, another round of applause for His Excellency. Thank you. The Excellency will entertain questions.
Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi addresses the international media where he criticized the Supreme Court for affirming the victory of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of the 2023 presidential election. He says the judgment is a breach of confidence that Nigerians have in the judiciary and an unnecessary show of force in enforcing illegality. Peter Obi says he disagrees strongly with the ruling of both the Election Petition Tribunal and the Supreme Court, even though he acknowledges that the Supreme Court ruling marks the end of his search for justice over the conduct of the 2023 presidential election. The Labour Party flag bearer also heaped criticism on INEC for failing to carry out its duties of conducting free and fair election. He, however, says his vision to unveil a new Nigeria that is productive, corruption-free, equitable and just remains intact, This, he believes, will be achieved by the Labour Party and the Obedient Movement playing its role as a viable opposition party while calling for good governance, rule of law, offering checks and balances against the excesses of the present administration. Peter Obi ended his press conference by thanking all Nigerians who supported his candidacy, adding that the Supreme Court ruling only marks a revolution postponed as the struggle to build a new Nigeria continues.
What would you say in respect to the need to cut West, just like you mentioned, which is a principle, if you like, or one of the cardinal objectives of the Labour Party?
Well, thank you very much. Let me first elucidate a bit. Supplementary budget is a budget that is meant for very important national welfare need of the people that is not captured originally in budget or does not have adequate funding. I'll give you an example. Nigeria today, we've read it in the past 1 week for United Nations World Food Organization that 26.5 million Nigerians will go hungry next year. This is an issue of national importance that we can go for supplementary budget. But we have a supplementary budget where we are mentioning issues of yachts, SUVs for First Lady's office, shows to the extent that this government is totally uncaring and we're in deep problem. It shouldn't be part of that. In fact, bringing in First Lady's office, which is not in our constitution, is even more troubling. All funds meant for First Lady's office should be allocated and addressed to dealing with the girl-child issue of education, to deal with the issue of education of the girl child in Nigeria. The First Lady is there to look after the husband and work with him and everything to ensure that everything works well. So for me, the other one you ask is the issue of SUV for National Assembly. Again, I can put it in the same basket that I put the earlier one. It's very troubling. The SUVs for both houses will cost in region of, I think it's in the region of about 60 billion, if I'm right. Nigeria today, our primary health care today is collapsed. Which consequently, Nigeria now have higher infant mortality than India, a country that is 7 times our population. For you now to use funds that is higher than the fund allocated to primary health care to buy a car for 400 people, it shows height of insensitivity. And we have a way we can buy a more competitive vehicle and everything for them, even from locally made. And most of them, even in the Senate, are people who already have cars. We don't really need to buy vehicles for them because some of them are my colleagues, ex-governors and everything. Do they need new cars again? It is time we must shake and show responsibility to what is happening. Nigerians are already scamping for food from waste bin. And we're doing this. It shouldn't be. And I can go further to give you an example of how I handled it even when I was governor. So it's not the first time. When I became governor, I found out that the justices of High Court don't have cars in Anambra State. The permanent secretaries don't have cars. And when I became governor, they ordered for me 2 bulletproof vehicles. And I said no. Collect the money back, paid it to PAN, and said supply us 60 406 cards. 18 to the justices, 18 to PANSEC, few to the commissioners that are appointed. The rest became my deputy governor and myself. Throughout my first term, everybody in Anambra said I used 406. Nobody, but it was meant for 2 bulletproof cars, the money we used to buy these cars, and nobody killed us in that 4 years. So it is time for us to use money very judiciously.
Thank you, Mr. Nigeria.
My name is Georgina from Radio Nigeria. Now that the Apex Court have passed the final judgment, how do we build a nation to avert these court cases in subsequent elections?
Well, as you can see, everybody have done now that all institutions are broken down. Like it's been now shown, it is now for all of us to work hard together to ensure that we save the country. Those who are in office should do the right things. Those who are in opposition should ensure that the right things are done. And we will do so on our own part aggressively.
Right.
Excellency, my name is Friday. I work for Channels TV. I'd like to ask you, sir, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, when they also briefed on this same topic, the Supreme Court judgment, he made some recommendations. One of the recommendations I can remember vividly now is this recommendation for a single term of 6 years on a rotational basis, rotational presidency. What's your view on that? And I just want to take you quickly on the issue that my colleague from Daily Trust raised, the issue of cars for people in the National Assembly. It is true that your party is in opposition now, since by virtue of the judgments of the Supreme Court. But you have your members of your party who are in the Senate, thank God we have one of them here. We also have some of them also in the House of Representatives. They are beneficiaries of this. So, to what extent are you going to engage with them? And of course, those lawmakers at the state level, so that they will stand different from other lawmakers in these parties that seem to be doing things contrary to your vision.
Let me start with the issue of Labour Party members in the House. I've actually discussed this issue with them. Surprisingly, I can tell you, I heard that these vehicles are official cars. And I don't know, they have to use it. It's meant for official vehicle. So it's not as if it's their vehicle that is meant for official cars and everything. Because we can pay for it and say, listen, if it's your car, you return it or do something. But they said it's official cars. And that everybody is meant to do it. You are meant to use it while you're in the Senate. But you know how things work here. It's not going to be like that. But, so, what I say people is that it won't be if Labour, if we were in office, nobody would have contemplated such. And that's where we want to go from. Because it is not enough to do the wrong thing and then start correcting it, but it shouldn't even be. Just like people are saying, oh, maybe the issue of years have withdrawn, or this one, it shouldn't even be mentioned in the first place, because it touches the sensibilities of people to do that. On issue of the single tenor, we campaigned vigorously on issue of restructure and reform. So that is clear. And that would have included so many amendments to make this constitution be a workable and functional constitution that will be productive for Nigeria. Including in that would have been issue of single tenor. I thank Vice President Atiku Abubakar for his position and his commitment to ensure that things work better going forward in Nigeria. But I disagree slightly. I will go for 5-year tenure, which will go for 30 years, rotational of 5-year tenure. And I'll still campaign for one thing. If we cannot go back to issue of parliamentary democracy, we must have a quasi system that will allow our leaders elected, whether prime minister or president, to be able to be part of the legislation, especially to answer questions, maybe presidential question time or prime minister question time, instead of hiring surrogates and people who are not elected, who have nothing to be canvassing and telling us stories. We want to hear it from the people we elected now. And that is critical. It's very important. We cannot continue with this way where we are now, where people have outsourced leadership.
Thank you. Hello? Okay. Hello? Hello?
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. I'm my name and I report for after the general election, there were calls for you and the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party to come together and unite to fight the APC government. And after the elections, people were still saying that if you had obeyed such calls, that we would have been having a different story. Do you regret not, answering those calls? And do we see you, collapsing your structure to have this kind of a thing in the future?
Thank you.
Thank you. We don't regret anything we did. We came out and campaigned on a new Nigeria. No other party did. And our position remain consistent. We're consistently consistent on that. On a new Nigeria. A Nigeria where things will be done properly. So we're not regretting anything. We don't know who knows tomorrow. If you can predict tomorrow, I don't think you'll be here. We can't predict tomorrow, but I'm telling you where we are. Our commitment is on a new Nigeria, and we remain committed to it.
Thank you.
My name is Ben Omodia, East Nigeria. You make an assumption to being a strong opposition to this ruling government. The charity begins at all. First and foremost, I know that there's crisis in Labour Party. Even the Chairman states there's crisis in Edo. From what we have read so far and what we have seen so far, how do you intend to reconciliate everybody across the country so that you can have a viable opposition?
Okay.
I hope this is the last one.
Yeah, the last one. The last one from here. The last one from here.
My addition is that since you have exhausted all the legal means to reclaim the mandate, many of your supporters, the young Nigerians, they are tired, thinking that is it going to remain like this with the way the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Tribunal has settled this situation. So many of them are drawing back. What advice will you give to them to reclaim that hope of a new Nigeria?
Well, thank you very much. That's what we just said. for us is a destination. We're committed to where we're going, and nothing will stop that. That is our commitment. And the question before that, where is the man who asked the question before that? On issue of our party. The leadership of our party is not in question. Like it is in every system, especially these are the troubling things that is happening in Nigeria, where people are trying to bring in divisions in other people's houses. The Supreme Court has said those who are leadership of our party, and is not based on judgment that is purchased or manipulated. It is based on the rule of law. That is this. This is what it is. And that will follow, and that will respect. And I assure you that in coming months, we will make the party stronger. We will build it. Those young people he's mentioned that are virtually tired and we'll re-energize them. We'll make sure that they walk down the road. We'll make sure that we carry them along to our destination. We are committed to it. Labour Party, the obedient movement, everybody will come out of this stronger, better, more committed to a new Nigeria.
Thank you. Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. Thank you.